It's time for Streaming Idiots, coming to you live from the studios of Eastern Shore Broadcasting in Fairhope, Alabama, every Wednesday afternoon at about 3:30 Eastern, 8:30 London. I'm Tom Sinclair. We've got a great show ahead for you. Stick around. Hey, I'm Tom Sinclair. That worked. Yay. All right. I was messing around with the macros here in VidBlaster before the show, and I wasn't sure that I had them all just right. But apparently I do, because what it was supposed to do is to take off all the overlays and insert me in there and then put my lower third over it. So how about that? It worked. Sorry, we started with a side note there. Welcome to Streaming Idiots. This is our new show. We're just testing it out to see if it fits us well. You know, kind of like trying on a new jacket to see does it fit right? Is it a little tight in the shoulders, or is it a good, comfortable fit? And so far, it seems like it's pretty comfortable fit. You know, sometimes when you get into this stuff, you can look like an idiot, either because you're doing something crazy and it doesn't work, or because you're doing something crazy and it does work. Today we're going to talk about the ultimate El Cheapo streaming setup. And I've done a couple of shows on this before, but I think I've come up with an even more El Cheapo setup than ever before. And I'm really excited about it. I've brought some toys here with me today, and let me show you what I've got in terms of toys. Let's see, I've got a Canon, what is this? This is a Vixia HF100. That's a inexpensive, high-definition camcorder that I bought off of eBay for about 150 bucks. It's probably less than that now. It can be hooked up either by HDMI out or by, you probably can't see that, but right there, that little yellow dot is where you can plug in an AV cable that will give you video out composite. So it'll do HDMI out, it'll do component out for high definition, and then it'll do composite out. And so we plan on using the composite out. That's probably the easiest part of it. And my guess is that almost any camera that is made in the last 10 years will have some sort of way of getting composite video. Now that's going to be standard definition, but nevertheless getting composite video out of the camera so that you can have it in we'll get to that in just a second. So you got your camera, and then I'm thinking, I didn't bring it with me, but my good old Dell AMD laptop dual core, perfect for this thing. Cost me probably $500 new 6 years ago. I've rebuilt it several times. If I were to buy the exact same thing today, it would probably be about $250, $300 new. So for the same $500, well, what was it? I bought my son an Asus laptop. Well, I didn't buy it. I bought it for him, but he reimbursed me. Full disclosure there. An Asus i7 laptop, and I think it was under $700. And so that's going to be full power, not this little Dell that I've got, but nevertheless, El Cheapo. So probably any laptop that you've got hanging around that's got more than one core in it might do the trick. And then we've got our good old, let's see how close we can get to it that this will work right there. EasyCap TV. This is the only brand of EasyCap that I've found to work reliably. And actually, you can sometimes get 2 or 3 of them going at the same time. And it plugs into the USB port, and then it will plug into the composite signal out of the camera. Now, while we're talking about cameras, a lot of cameras come with with USB connections, but that's for data transfer most of the time. There might be one or two new, I mean, brand new ones that have the ability to connect USB 3 and do live video, but most of them is just data transfer. You're transferring a file from the card or from the whatever storage device is in the camera to your PC. But we don't want to do that. We want to do it live. So we got camera. We've got a video capture device. This is about $30. Now this is probably, you know, this is the high price Easy Cap, but it's the one that works first time every time. And then we got to get audio. So here is just a little baby Behringer X502 mixer, nothing fancy. It's got 5 inputs, it's got an output, it's got its ability to hook in CD. You know, it's all you need for a single audio input. In fact, would probably work for multiple audio inputs for that matter. You probably could get, it looks like it'll take 5 mics. Yeah, one for each of the inputs. But we don't want to do that. We just want to use an inexpensive headset. Bought this off eBay. It's a Natty QHM100. I think it was $15. It has a mic and a speaker jack, which look a lot like they should plug right into a PC, which they will. And when you plug the mic into the mic jack, you'll have to have a little power device, since this is not a phantom powered mixer. Something with just a little 9-volt battery in it or something like that, just to add just a little bit of juice so that it can pull up the mic on these guys. And those sometimes they'll come with the headphones. You'll just want to check on that. And then, so you've got video in, you've got audio in, and now you need to get all that stuff out. How do you get it out? Well, here's one of the fun parts about it. Oop, looks like I got a stripe in front of me again. I need to adjust my chroma key. The easiest way to get it out, I think, is probably, oops, there we go. I was adjusting on the fly there, sorry about that. Is to use, and definitely the least expensive way, is to use the VidBlaster Trial Edition. It's free. You can't beat free for a price, unless I guess somebody's going to pay you to use it. But the Trial Edition is free. You can download it from the VidBlaster forum, or actually you can go to the VidBlaster website and get it too. But you can go to the forum and get the latest, greatest beta, which as of this broadcast is version 3.22. The forum address is forum.vidblaster.com, and go to the download section and download it. Now it will have a little it will have a little trial logo. I think it's either in the top right corner or the bottom left corner here. But you know, it's free. I mean, so it's got a little trial. I think when I first got into the internet broadcasting, I was doing some of my son's soccer games. We used VidBlaster trial version for a month or so, and so therefore we were able to get you know, the streaming for practically free. And we were using Ustream for our CDN, which, by the way, CDNs, you can find a free CDN. I know Bamboozer used to do it, might still. Livestream has a free program. Ustream has a free program. YouTube Live is another good opportunity to do it for a CDN. And then there's some other options. Some of the other software that's similar to VidBlaster, Wirecast has a trial edition that you can use. Well, I guess you probably wouldn't want to use it because it has a Wirecast logo right in the middle, and then about every 10 or 15 seconds it has a voice that comes on and says this is Wirecast trial version or something like that. So that probably wouldn't be usable. Good for testing, but not good for actually trying to make a broadcast. Oh, I know, and vMix, the software out of Australia, has a free version that you can try. I think it's somewhat limited in its scope, but it's free. I mean, golly gee, and I don't even think it has a watermark on it. I haven't tried it, but you may want to try it, and that's vMix, VMIX. I think the URL for their company is vmix.com.au. Vmix.com is a different site altogether, so it's vmix.com.au is vmix, and you can download that and try it out. Now, why am I telling you about all this cheap stuff? Well, because I think that most of the folks that are getting into video streaming, internet broadcasting, video podcasting, whatever we're going to call it, I think most of the folks that are getting into it have no budget. They're doing it because it's fun, because they're geeks, or they're wannabe geeks, and because they have a passion for something, whether it's a show that they want to broadcast themselves or their friends, or whether it's a church, they want to do their church services, whether it's a sports team and they want to broadcast the sporting events. It's something that they have a passion for and they want to do, but it doesn't mean they have a lot of money to do it with, at least at first. And so what I've found to be a great strategy is to put together an inexpensive streaming kit to prove the concept. Will people watch? Well, I'll tell you right away. First off, probably yes. If they know about it and if they're interested in it, they'll probably watch. Will I have trouble doing it? Yeah, I can assure you you'll have trouble doing it. You got to worry about getting internet to the venue. You got to worry about keeping it going full time. You got weather to deal with. You have the volunteers that you're going to need help with. But I've seen folks that have done it all themselves. They put a camera on a tripod and they're turning the tripod side to side while they're commentating on the game and keeping up the score. Kind of a one-man show. So it can be done on sports. Certainly it would be much easier to do in a situation where you were in a church, where you didn't have to do any commentating, where basically you're picking up the house audio and bringing that into your mixer so you can control the volume up and down. And certainly for a one-man talk show like this, a webcam becomes a great camera opportunity. We're shooting this show today with the Logitech C920. I think you can get those on eBay now for $50. And I have heard that they tend to degrade in their optics a little bit after a year or so you may want to keep that in mind. I think brand new ones are less than $100. And they're always got new things coming out that are great too. The opportunities are really, really limitless. One of the things that you'll find once you've proven the case is that you'll immediately want to upgrade. You want to upgrade the camera, you want to upgrade the PC, you want to upgrade the software, you want to upgrade the audio, you want to upgrade the internet connection. And when you do that, you can go from a system that costs less than, I'm going to say cobbled together for less than $500, to you could spend, I'd say, $1,500, $2,500 pretty easy to replace all that with better stuff and not increase what you're doing. That is, not buy 5 cameras in place of the 1 camera that you had before, not buy 2 computers in place of the 1 computer you had before. By the way, I'm a real big advocate in one man, one PC, one broadcast. I don't think it's necessary to have a room full of PCs in order to do a good broadcast, whether it's sports or church or talk shows or whatever. I don't think you need a bunch of PCs to do it. I think you can do it all on one PC. The trick is the PC's got to be configured properly. I mean, it's got to be ready and geared up for that. The PC that we use for streaming here has a solid-state hard drive as its main drive. That gives us a lot of oomph. Has an i7 processor, slightly tweaked to overclock, not too bad. That helps. A lot of RAM. We got 3 monitors in front. I'll show you the setup again. 3 monitors in front so that we can keep track of everything that we've got going on at the same time. And then cameras. Camera probably will be the thing that you'll want to put your most money in, because that's where you really get your bang for the buck in terms of video. Audio, I agree with Mike Phillips. Audio is important, and people will not watch a broadcast that has bad audio. But decent audio, okay audio, is acceptable. There are very few people that have to have it absolutely pristine. For example, today's show, we've got a thunderstorm going on in the background. If you listen in the pauses, you can hear a slight hum of a fan in the PC that's sitting, unfortunately, way too close to me. And we've tried to muffle it with blankets and all sorts of other things. One day I need to do a studio tour and show you what we've got here in the studio in terms of sound dampening equipment that we've bought and built. Lost my train of thought. Has that ever happened to you? So to recap, we've taken a computer that we already had on hand, a camera that we could have already had on hand, an inexpensive mixer that, well, we probably didn't have on hand, an inexpensive headset that we probably didn't have on hand, and the value of all of that, plus the free software that we're using to do that, and the free streaming, less than $500. And if you've got folks that are donating, somebody might donate a camera, somebody might donate a laptop. You might end up having to buy the headset or a good mic and a mixer of your own, and then the associated cables that go along with it. But still, less than $500. I think it's doable. I think the technology has gotten to the point, and primarily it's the software technology, has gotten to the point where it'll run on just about anything. I've been testing vMix for the last couple of weeks and find it to be a very CPU economical piece of software that'll run on an i3. So if you've got a dual core, an old Dell sitting around like mine, you can probably get some good use out of it with vMix. VidBlaster is requires a little bit more robust computer in order to perform at a good level. But it also has a lot of features that I think might be unique to VidBlaster. So, you pay your money, you take your pick. We have just been awarded a vMix reseller. I guess it's agreement. Yeah, it's not a franchise, and it's not an exclusive territory. But we'll be exploring that some more and putting vMix in some of the custom PCs that we sell perhaps in the future, as that tends to fit our buyers' needs a little bit better. Let's see. A couple notes here in the chat room that the 502 only has one mic input and the others are line in, which is absolutely correct. That's from Martin K. at Zen Video in Manchester, England. But you can get a mic into a line in. In fact, I'm looking at my mixer right here, and I've got 4 mics in, and only one of them comes in on XLR. The other 3 come in on line ins. But that's okay. That's the way. The mic that you're hearing me on is not on one of the line ins. It is actually on the mic port. And then let's see, JP says that monoprice.com has some inexpensive parts and cables. They're a little bit more consumer grade, but it still works. And that's a great comment, JP. I appreciate that. That's Monoprice, MONOPRICE, monoprice.com. And what I found, and I've got boxes of cables and things like that, connectors and adapters that I've purchased over the years. What I found is that I start with the cheap stuff to get the job done, to prove the point, and then as I have time and cash, can come back later and make upgrades and improvements. But sometimes just proving the case. I was talking to a guy in the church the other day, and he said, we don't have a budget. We don't have a budget. And then, actually, it was more than the other day. It was probably close to a year ago, because he called back the other day and he said, we've now got a budget of $5,000 to put this together. Help me spec out what I need. Because he had proven the case. He had proven the point that, yes, it was a viable alternative, in this case, for their church ministry to stream services. And I think for churches, it's a great idea to be able to reach folks that are homebound, folks that are out of town. Those are your regular members, as well as giving newcomers an opportunity to sort of take a peek at what you look like without having to show up and be uncomfortable. So that's a win-win there too. And I talk to folks in sports all the time that are trying to prove the case to the local principal or athletic director or football coach or whoever. And it only takes a couple of times where somebody that's overseas or out of town is able to watch their youngster play and write a nice letter about it that makes the case, and you'd be amazed at the sponsorship money that's available there too. So that's a great deal. Now, if you're coming at the whole streaming thing from a different angle, if you're not coming from the bottom up, but if you're coming from the top down, and you've got a budget already, you've got a ton of money, then you are in a whole different ball game. You know, you can pretty well, like the racetrack that we worked with about a month ago. You know, when you've got a $50,000 budget for cameras and equipment, you can get the right stuff up front. And sometimes it's a question of what's going to work with what. How do you know? What do you know? So if you need help on speccing something like that, drop me a note, tom@streamingidiots.com, and we can talk about what the best way to do that. We can help you procure equipment. We can build it for you. There are lots of different ways to kind of skin that cat, as it were. We just shipped out another PC this morning to a client up in Canada that is going to go, well, it's proprietary. Should have kept my mouth shut on that one. Anyway, it's going to be an exciting venue that it's going to be put in. It'll be doing all sorts of fun stuff. Let's see. I think we are about out of time for this show. But if you have questions about how you can put together a budget system and you want to chat with me, shoot me a note, tom@streamingidiots.com, and perhaps we can get together by Skype or over the phone, or else just exchange emails about a good inexpensive way to get starting in streaming. It's a lot of fun. I will warn you up front, it will eat up inordinate amounts of time because the simplest things will drive you crazy. Here's a good example of the simple thing that drove a buddy crazy. This is the easy cap, okay? And let me switch cameras here for just 1 second quickly. And as you can see, there are 4 different connectors. The black one is S-video, the yellow one is video, and the white and the red are audio. If you hook the camera to the red connector, it will not work. And my buddy went, I don't know how many hours he spent playing with this thing. He's really a client. I guess I call all my clients buddies because we end up being friends. But he spent hours trying to figure out why the camera wasn't working and why he wasn't getting any feed. And he was updating drivers and doing all sorts of stuff. And I remember the first time I called Hewlett-Packard with a problem with my printer. The very first question they asked me was, is it plugged in? Well, fortunately mine was plugged in, but that's where we start. When you're troubleshooting, start with the simple stuff. Don't go immediately to the most complex problem. Start with the simple things. Are all the cables plugged in? Is the yellow plugged to the yellow? You know, that kind of stuff. As you get into more and more complicated equipment, yes, you're liable to have a complicated problem. But when you're starting out, keep it simple. That way it's easy to troubleshoot. That way if you've got a problem 5 minutes before a broadcast, you've got the ability to sit down and figure it out because there's not a lot there to figure it out. The more complex you get, the harder it is to troubleshoot the problems when they do occur. And they will occur. Batteries die, cables break, things stop working for whatever reason. What was it that happened when Microsoft put out a Windows update? I guess this was about a year ago. And the update rendered a whole bunch of standard definition capture cards unusable. They just wouldn't work. And I remember a couple of people calling me saying, all of a sudden these things didn't work any longer. And then finally we found out on an Adobe forum what the specific update was that Microsoft had put out. And if you went and removed that update, then everything worked again. And then I think Microsoft eventually put a fix on it. But it was just one of those things where, you know, who could see that coming? Can't prevent that. Anyway, not trying to scare you, just shared a war story with you. I'm Tom Sinclair, Chief Streaming Idiot. Been a pleasure to chat with you today about budget streaming setups. And if you think I can help, tom@streamingidiots.com. Glad to help you. And I look forward to chatting with you in the future. If you think I can help, shoot me a line. Take care.